Hey, what up, America? Happy Friday to you. Today is Friday, February 10th, 2017. I'm your boy, Bouchard Glover with the Better Black America. And today, and happy Black History Month to you. We're still in Black History Month. And today in Black History Month, we're going to talk about the Black Codes and the Jim Crow laws. Reason being that I believe the Black Codes and the Jim Crow laws is an important topic to talk about during Black History Month. Because a lot of times we tend to just target Black history and influential figures during the Black history, during the Black plight in America, but we don't really talk about and educate on the laws that was in place to make sure that Blacks stay in the basket of deplorable cesspool of a progressive agenda outside of the mainstream. And when I say mainstream, I'm alluding to what we got going on right now. We got President Trump is in office, and yesterday his Attorney General got sworn in, and I watched the debates and the meetings and the hearings with his selection, which is Jeff Sessions. And Jeff Sessions, this is a character right here. I mean, he's been 20 years junior senator in the state of Alabama, and now he is the Attorney General. And during the hearings for Jeff Sessions, a lot of Democrats and even Republicans, questioned the selection of Donald Trump due to his connection to the Ku Klux Klan and the allegations of white supremacy. Now, we would have to be blind to not see the agenda that's actually being laid into play when it comes to American politics. Now, if you're talking about making America great again, you're going to have to somehow rewind the reels or rewind the clock and take it back to a time that in the eyes of a lot of American citizens was dark. Like the Jim Crow times and the Black Codes. Now, the Black Codes was put into play because at the time, the North, it was free states and the South was the Confederate South. So they had to put Black Codes into play to make sure that the Black man stays in check, that the Black man doesn't somehow supersede white Americans in terms of business opportunities and things like that. So the Black Code was for freedmen, which were people who were either bought their slavery or ran for slavery up to the North, but they did not want them to be able to establish and to become financially inclined or socially on another level. So they wanted to keep them into play. So yeah, you can walk around free, but there's some rules and some laws that you got to abide by, not the same as the regular, at the time, white Americans. So fast forward to 1865, at the abolishment of slavery. Now, at the abolishment of slavery, the Jim Crow laws went into effect, and that ran from 1865 to 1964, not even barely 50 years ago. Okay, from 1865 to 1964. Now, in the South was hit hard when it comes to the abolishment of slavery, because the major workforce and the major work labor was free labor by the skin and sweat of Blacks and of African descent. So once they, the Congress and the House passed the law to abolish slavery in 1865, the Jim Crow laws was put into effect to make sure that the South still had its workforce, meaning Blacks can only work for, basically with slaves working for a very small wage, and that they couldn't own property. There was so many laws into effect. We can't eat at the same places. We can't worship at the same places. We can't, travel through your cities in the South without catching sanctions. There was a lot of hangings, a lot of lynching, a whole lot going on. But the number one thing that connects it today was voter suppression. So that's why a lot of your Democrats are having issues with what's going on, because of the voter oppression concept when it comes to white supremacy versus the South. Now, Jeff Sessions, his whole entire lifetime was predicated on Jim Crow laws. The man graduated college from the University of Alabama in 1973, at a time where Alabama still didn't even recruit black football players, and how forbid if you wanted to go to the University of Alabama at the time. So I'm knowing our Attorney General was on the other side of the fence in terms of the argument that was stopping the black plight in America through the Jim Crow laws, which didn't end till 1964 when this man was a teenager. So rewind that. So his father, his entire lifetime, either seen the Jim Crow laws in full effect. This is his entire life. Okay? His entire life. Now, the Democrats don't really understand that the KKK at the time, when it comes to voter suppression, the KKK forced black Republicans in the South to vote Democratic, to run all the Republicans out of town, because they wanted to keep home. They wanted to keep the Confederate South. They wanted to get the Rebel X flags, the whole nine. So I need you people to understand, the history of what's going on, because if you don't know where you come from, you don't have a clue on where to go, because the plot thickens. Jeff Sessions, our Attorney General, he was actually born in Selma, Alabama. I mean, you don't get no, you can't make this up. So right now in 2017, Martin Luther King is waking up in heaven, and somebody told him, say, hey, Martin, the Attorney General in 2017 is Jeff Sessions from Alabama. And I know Martin probably woke up this morning and said, oh, hell no, that's that little motherfucker that threw a rock at me at the Selden March. He was a teenager at the time. I remember that little, I mean, I'm just saying, just to keep it humorous, but, on a serious note, I mean, really, our Attorney General of the United States of America is born in Selma, Alabama. He grew up in the Jim Crow South. Father grew up his whole entire lifetime through Jim Crow, and you can imagine the era that Grandpa was. I think he owned a few of us. So any black people named Sessions, hey, these are people, but we have to keep it 100. But when they say, we want to make America great again, the issue is they're erasing our history as we speak. We just had Attorney General Eric Holder. I think he was the first black Attorney General, then superseded by Loretta Lynch. This is African-American, black, sister, okay? Now you put Jeff Sessions in there. How do we go from Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, that's progress right there, to Jeff Sessions? Bam! So you're putting us back in the 60s. So that's why it's so important and imperative for blacks in this country to really understand, how important it is to come together as one united force and, right some of our wrongs. We're not, there's no way we're going to rise up to the man. We'll lose that battle, in a heartbeat. But now you have people, educators and scholars and, people alike that really are motivated and encouraged to fix some things, because the beauty of it is there's always a silver lining to a storm cloud. Now we can expose America. Now, just like when Hillary Clinton ran for the presidency, I know it was a time when they started talking about Danny Williams, Bill Clinton's son, they kept throwing the 94 crime bill when she called us super predators and we're not ordinary people and all of that stuff. I know a time went through and she said, why did I sign up for this? I did not want to go from a blast to the past. I'm totally a different person right now, but they're going to continue to blast me from what I did because, it's on record for her saying that. So with Jeff Sessions, this is an opportunity to expose and put some things out in the forefront to let them know we already know what's up from a proactive perspective. So they won't just sit back and think that they can just go ahead and systematically do what their plan is. But somehow we got to throw a monkey wrench in the operation so they can be on the defense and we can actually call some shots. It's called a proactive movement, not a reactive. Proactive. Yes, we're reacting to the nomination. We're reacting to him being sworn in yesterday, but we're putting a proactive agenda to basically force them to do the work of the people and to not have the leisure and the mind space to actually implement a covert plan to basically put us back on a different level and a different status, because that would never happen, because it will never be a sequel. But that's very interesting. So that's very interesting. Jeff Sessions from Selma, Alabama, is the Attorney General. And his first call to action, okay? His first call to action is the Muslim world. You know, they're white supremacists. You know, Nancy Pelosi said it herself. I didn't say it. Nancy Pelosi said that Jeff Sessions is a white supremacist. She went on record in calling the whole operation a white supremacy scheme. But as a black man in this country, I have no problem with white supremacy, because it doesn't affect us the way they think. They can have their own, you know, good old boy program, but we can do the same thing. We don't have to sit back and allow them to control our narratives and have us on the defense and have us not focusing on what we're supposed to do, because all the time that we spend, you know, talking about what they're doing, you know, they're controlling us from a puppet master perspective because they're controlling the narrative. But we're going to do the same thing because they let us in the chess game. This is a chess game. There's pawns out there. There's kings and queens, you know, but we have to do what we have to do. And when Jeff Sessions was sworn in yesterday, and I watched it, and I was very, you know, I watched it with a fine tooth comb. You know, I wanted to see what was going on. And when they said that they're, you know, the Attorney General's job is to fight off any enemies against America, foreign or domestic, tribal, the whole nine. And then he said, we have to do something to make America safe. And we're going to do that, make America safe. And when Donald Trump threatens martial law in the city of Chicago, you know, that's waking up. You know, that's real. It gets no realer than that. So I have no doubt in my mind that if we don't do something about our issues and our crime rate, and if we don't learn to start educating ourselves, to start kicking that knowledge and start the knowledge of self, because we're all gods. We're all little lowercase gods. God is the big God in the sky, but we're all little G's running around. And somehow along the way, they tricked us into hurting and killing each other because the systematic racism is still in effect. Because you don't have plantations, but you have jails with mass incarceration. And based on the 13th and 14th Amendment, it was all based on if you break the law, you lose your freedoms. So people that's in jail, that's a slave. That's the modern day slave trade. That's the modern day slave trade. But then if you look at the NFL, that's the modern day cash cow of the master blacks. Just like Jimmy the Greek lost his job by being honest back in the day. And I think it was in the 79, 80 when I was a kid. I watched the show. Jimmy the Greek said they take big black slaves, women, big black slave bucks, mandingos, and mix them together and they make big slaves. And this is what we're seeing today. That's what we're seeing today. If you look at the combine, you know, these guys just say, I mean, they might as well open their mouth to see if they got good teeth or not, because that's exactly what they did in the slave trade. They stripped them down. They might as well be naked. These guys got on little tights and whatever, and they're sitting there and they're looking at them and look at the physique on this guy. Look how big this guy is. Look at this and look at that. Then they test them and there it is. So we're living in a time where we know this country cannot exist without us. We're the cash cows. But Generation X, you know, we have to put something together to save the plight of Black America. We have to, and we will. We have no choice, because if we're looking at Chicago, so while our Attorney General Jeff Sessions, along with President Trump, you know, they're doing something about the Muslims and the immigrants and religions and all that. While they're focused on that, we have to do something about our problems. We need these numbers to drop. And just like Pastor Darrell Scott said that he talked to the top thugs, and man, what is that? You know, words coming back from Chicago like that man lying. He ain't talked to nobody, because there ain't no such thing as a top thug. Now there's shot callers, there's leaders, there's community leaders, activists. He said he talked to some of the top thugs that reached out to him and said that they want to work with Donald Trump to fix crime. And come on now, that man is trying to get a check, because that's basically what they did. Like with Jesse Jackson, and his Rainbow Coalition. They outed King, put Jesse Jackson at the forefront, gave him all the resources, let him run for president, and then what he did is lead us from being black and proud to becoming African American. But we need to get back to black. That's another topic. We'll talk about that on a later date. But they trying to give the funds directly to specific people for being down with them, so they can fatten their pockets, and then they can dictate what they're going to do and share the resources with who they want to share them with. But as of now, nobody's coming on record. You got to have some heart like Corrupt was, and call out some names. We need some names, bruh. And this is Pastor Darrell Scott from Chicago. Call me. And I'm in LA. I'm in the Compton area. I mean, we ride for ours, because we understand that the whole plan is for every man to pull himself up from his bootstraps and get it together. We can't rely on the federal government to do anything for us, because if you look at what's going on right now, they're basically rewinding time. But we got all the data we need. We got all the data we need from every black movement that they destroyed, every organization that they destroyed, what happened here, what happened there. But right now we're in a position to where we can actually put a plan together, a cohesive plan together from a social and economic perspective. And hey, make up some room. They got a 398-year head start on us if you count today, because in 2019 we're going to be commemorating 400 years. And we're privileged people. It's our birthright. We've been here since day one. So we got to throw this back in their face and say, hey, black people been here since day one. So this country is ours just as it is yours, regardless if you're a white supremacist or not. You have to respect the fact that blacks played a major role in the birth of this nation. And we have to change the narrative. We can't continue to ask, but we can bring it to their attention so where they can actually see what we're talking about, because we've been here since 1619. We built this infrastructure. They created black codes and Jim Crow laws to make sure that we continue to work and continue to build this nation. So you can't just lump us up. And that's why Hillary Clinton, they didn't know what they were doing, because when Hillary Clinton said that she's a progressive and she wants to make America whole, no, we don't want them against whole. No, we want them against them while we over there, because we're sovereign people. It's our birthright. 1619, this is our country just as much as it is yours. So don't put us in the basket of everything that's not lily white. We're not going to put gender, sexual preference, or your anything in front of the black cause, because the black cause can actually lead everybody out of this current condition that we live in. But we got too many, tokens and too many things in place to make sure. But we're going to have to figure these things out. We can and we will. So, we're going to go hard in the paint on this, man. It's your boy Bouchon Glover, the Better Black America. And it's our birthright to be here in this nation, and we're going to get it right. So I'm calling on everybody, to check yourselves, to share the videos, to really go to my YouTube, because I'm taking everything on that side. It's Better Black America TV, and subscribe, and, get these videos to Darrell Scott, to the top thugs of Chicago. I mean, come on, bro. No disrespect to Chicago, but bros, we need to work together, and we need to fix this, because if we don't fix it, they will. And that's all they want to do. They want to make examples. We lived through this through the 94 crime bill. We saw Hillary Clinton call us super predators and build a case for America for it to pass the House and the Senate. We know that's in Congress and the Senate. We know that's what they're trying to do. But before they get an opportunity to do it, we already got some things in place that's working for us. And we have to do it. We have to do it. And pray for me as I pray for you, because, hey, we all little G's praying to the big G in the sky. With that being said, man, happy Friday to you. Happy Black History Month to you. And I hope this video has been some usage to you, because if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, you're lost. So it's time to open that third eye and get on the right track and keep your eye on the prize, because God is at hand. Because, man, while they trying to make America great again, we got to figure out how it's going to make it great for us. It's your boy, Bushan Glover, A Better Black America. Have a great day.